Hello, I'm Anthony from strongmencoaching.com. And today I want to share with you about this important topic about male loneliness. It's such a global issue, but in reality, it's an unfortunate issue. And so I want to really get into it and chat with you today about this very important topic. I've been working with men for 7.5, little over 7.5 years now, in a number of different areas. And one of the things that I have noticed in many different in many men's lives throughout the years, and what I've noticed is, especially within the last 4 years, right, with the pandemic and these sorts of events, is that there is this. We all want friends, but in not only making friends and maintaining those friendships, but more importantly, reconciling when there is a disagreement. In today's world, unfortunately, there's this great divide. You're either on one way of thinking or the other, and if you think one way, you're wrong, and there's just the friendship goes away, and it's so unfortunate because so many men are losing friends over some very small petty issues that not only is it unfortunate that they lose that friendship, but then they also lose the benefits of having friendships, right? Whenever we're dealing with something, right? Who do we talk to? We often talk to our friends, and when we no longer have that friendship, it impacts us in every aspect. If it impacts us physically, research has shown that having a healthy social life, right, having friends, having people you can communicate with, talk to, interact with, is just as important as eating nutritiously. The foods that we eat, how important, we often know that of it's important to eat healthy, but just as important, if not more important, is our social life. And it's unfortunate that in today's world that we're so divided, and if we're not, if there's just no acceptance as far as we can still be friends despite having these differences, and it's not necessarily the case. And so I wanted to share with you just a little more information because it's such an important topic, especially among men, and this idea that we don't need anybody, right? We can do things on our own, and that's just not the case. We need friendships. Right here, there's an article on Psychology Today, and it's cut off just because I have the screen, because I'm going to share some other information that I don't want it to be part of the video. So right here, it's saying, male loneliness and the great friend recession. It's like we have really separated ourselves. Either you believe in one thing and I believe in another, and that means we can't be friends, and it's just so unfortunate. I remember growing up having different friends, and it's like, hey, we are friends. We may not agree on everything, but we're still friends, and we appreciate each other and love each other and care about one another. And unfortunately here, right, often there is this idea that, we're self-reliant. We don't need anybody. We don't need any help. And that's so unfortunate because we do. I mean, you look at the elite. Let me, I was in the military, and you look, oftentimes even if you're not in the military, you hear about the elite of the elite, right? The elite military forces. And you hear about, Green Berets and Navy SEALs, and you hear about, these people, these special forces, right? These soldiers. And what often people don't understand is that they are never alone. You're in at least with one other person, if not three other person in a team of four. So you're never alone. But we often individualize the person that, oh, that person is that person, that one single person, but they are a force, and they're often two or more. And the more the better, right? Because then they can cover each other, they can support each other, they can take care of one another. But we often individualize that person and thinking, oh, that person's the best because he's an individual. He could do it all. He could jump, he could swim, he can shoot, he can do all these things. But at the end of the day, they're a team. There's no one alone. And so we often think that, oh, we're I need to be self-reliant. I don't need another person. We need other people. We need someone beside us. We need a friend to talk to get through life. And when we don't have that, we struggle mentally, physically. And it makes life more difficult when you don't have somebody to talk to. And we're not, it's a physical person. It's not some, somebody who you're chatting with, somebody who you're texting with. This is really someone you can speak to face, just like friendships have always been, And so just want to make that point because we often individualize that person like, oh, wow, that person's this in this unit, in that unit. And it's just what makes them strong, what makes them powerful is that they are together. You take them individually out, yeah, they'll be strong and have some skills, but there's still that individual. Any person can be knocked out with the right hit. Anybody can be taken out easily being hit in the right spot. So, but together they protect each other and know how to function as a team of two, three, or four or more. But they're stronger together, and that's the point that I'd like to make is that we often individualize these people and think that they're such badasses when they're badasses together. And when we separate from each other as from our friendships and um, we don't prioritize friendships, building friendships, maintaining friendships, and more importantly, reconciling when there are disagreements. And so here, right, it's talking about in a recent study, and I've known about this for a very long time, that nearly 1 in 5 Americans have reported no close social connections, and men are faring far the worst. More than 1 in 4 men, 28% under age 30, reported having no close social connections. The percentage worsens as men age. This is so unfortunate. That might sound ominous until the factors affect social isolations, which include chronic diseases. When you're feeling alone, when you're feeling sad, your body is releasing chemicals that are not good for the long term, right? It's okay to have a bad day. It's okay to not feel so good from time to time. But if it goes for weeks and months and perhaps years, your risk for developing chronic diseases is immense. And so here it talks about chronic diseases like diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and cancer. In short, loneliness is killing us one unrequited social contact at a time. So I want to share some. So this is such an important topic, like because we need each other as men. We need each other, and oftentimes when there are disagreements, instead of confronting those, instead of reconciling, we often just kick that person to the curb, and we're unwilling. Now, I want to go to ChatGPT here, and if you've seen some of my other videos, I'm sharing how men can utilize ChatGPT as a tool, not as not as uh, just relying on this specific tool, especially, when I'm talking about technology, right? I mentioned chatting, texting people. Now, that's a good way. Don't get me wrong. That's a good way to maintain, one way to maintain friendships, right? But if your friend is, it's okay, of course, to have friends that are, long distance. I have friends that are long distance, and I send them text messages. We'll get on a call, we'll have a video call, things like that. But it's also very important to have local friends that you can get together with, friends that you can, spend activities doing, this sort of interaction, right? That's the most important thing. Continue to maintain those friends. I have great friends that I don't live anywhere near close to, but they are important friends in my life. And I know that I could call them at any time. But it's also important that no matter where I am, that I make, build, and maintain friendships. Okay. Now, here, as if you've seen any of my other videos, um, and that explain how to use ChatGPT. So I'm just going to briefly go over it. So let's say, for example, you're struggling with building friendships. Let's say you're having difficulty. Now, I actually wrote a book about brotherhood bond, um, making male friendships and maintaining friendships. You could find that on Amazon. But what I want to share with you here is giving you some options of what you can do, because I believe, right? I believe that one of the things that's so important, especially as men, is really to admit where we're lacking in our skills. Building friendships, maintaining friendships, reconciling friendships is a skill. And oftentimes, men don't have those skills. How do you reconcile a friendship? How do you build a friendship? How do you maintain these friendships? Now, I remember one time I was in my early 30s and I was in the Army and Army National Guard. And I had it was a weekend drill, and we went to another town, and we ended up staying in these hotel rooms, and I ended up sharing a room with another soldier, and he was much older than I was. He was in his early 40s, and I was in my early 30s, and so he had a good, I would say, at least 10 years, 10, 12 years, right around there, older than I was, and he was in his early 40s. And I remember I had an assignment where I needed to interact with somebody and ask them some questions. And I forget exactly what those questions were. However, we got into the topic of friendships. Now, mind you, this was before my bachelor's degree, my master's degree, my experience in the war in Iraq. This was before all of this. And I remember having this conversation with him. And we got into this conversation about, by the time you get into your 40s, you're going to maybe have one or two friends. And to me, I thought, right, remember, I didn't know anything about this male loneliness, this whole pandemic thing, and how people are just going to be so divided and that sort of thing. And when he told me that, I was really shocked because I have a good amount of friends. And and so when he said, "Yeah, Anthony, by the time you're in your late 40s or you're in your 40s, you're in your careers, you have your children, you're married, these sorts of things, you just don't." And I was like, wow, just kind of that kind of took me aback of hearing him, how he was just like, yeah, I just, you kind of just have one or two friends, if that. And in addition, this is also before I was a men's coach. So, and then learning, and helping men get through these different times in their life and these challenges. And I still remember that story that he told me. And it was really interesting how eventually, now how I've been working with men, and how there is this thing of male loneliness. And so in sharing that, why is that? Why is that as we get older? And he did mention, right, you have your kids, they're in their sports, you're married, you're trying to maintain your marriage, and then your career, and then also just throwing in some sort of hobbies, right? Throwing in some sort of things that you enjoy. So let's look at that. I just shared with you that when we isolate ourselves, when we don't have friendships, we are at risk. We're at higher risk of developing chronic diseases. So our health, without our health, like what do we really have, right? You could be the wealthiest person, but if you're not healthy, how can you enjoy your life? And so I want to share with you how to use ChatGPT in a way now in a way that you can get some ideas for you specifically. And I want to share with you a way that you can utilize this tool for you specifically. Now, oftentimes, right, it's a lack of skill when it comes to building and maintaining friendships, like communication skills, empathy, being willing to hear, uh, a different viewpoint and being okay with it, and still maintaining that foundation of a friendship despite having different beliefs, right? This whole division has really just come upon us, within the last 4 years. But I believe that before all this, like, it didn't matter what somebody's religion was. It didn't matter what someone's color was. It didn't matter what political or any of those things. It was, hey, we have this agreement. Hey, we have we chat about fishing or sports or whatever, you know, and we have that underlying respect for each other's viewpoints, right? So let me just share with you how you can utilize ChatGPT for your specific situation, because I don't want you to be isolated. I don't want you to be alone. I've had friends who have committed suicide, soldiers who I've served with commit suicide. I don't I don't necessarily know if they had somebody to chat with. I don't know if they were getting any help that they needed, but I don't want you to suffer. I don't want men to suffer. So what I have shared in my previous videos, if you haven't seen them yet, have a look at them. But what I want to share with you is how to utilize this tool. So let's get right into it. So when you go into ChatGPT, I'm recommending that you don't just go in there and just start typing. I struggle with making friends. Um, Give me some ideas to make friends, right? Like this right here would be the worst way to utilize ChatGPT for this situation. This would be the worst. This is just going to give your basic generic ideas, join clubs, do this, do that, right? It's not for you, for your specific situation. So, what I recommend is that you give it a persona. And I would say, I want you to act as um, let's say, life, professional coach. Uh, let's say this. Let's say professional life coach who works um, with men who wants to build the skills to make, build, and um, maintain friendships. Right? I want you to act as a professional life coach who works with men want who want to build the skills to make, build, let's say this, to start, build, and maintain friendships. Right? So now we could do a little bit more. I like to use the third. I don't like to say I don't like I prefer to use third person. Does it matter? I just like it for it's like, hey, I'm just wanting some information. It's not for me, but I just want some information, right? Who knows what happens? Be careful what you share inside Chat GPT. So that's the reason why I use third person. So what I would say is your client is 40. Let's just put in your age. How old are you? Your client is 40 years old. Uh, he has no close friendships, locally, right? Um, he is married. He is married and has two children that are, you know, 8 and 10, you could say, let's just say, and are heavily involved in soccer, let's just say, right? Um, the client is an engineer and works 40 hours a week and often comes home tired. Let's just say, right? Um, he 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 would like he would like okay, let's just say he is interested in martial arts and sports, and let's be specific, and martial arts and running. Okay, so here, this is where you want to share a little bit about yourself, because whatever suggestions they're going to make, or ChatGPT is going to make, it's going to be specifically for you. Soccer. How did I press? Um, oops. Um, Heavily involved in soccer, but you want it to be specifically for you. You don't want this general over idea of how to make friends, right? Or this general idea for just everybody. No, you want it to be specific for your situation. Okay. So you're sharing some information as far as, your age, your marital status, children, whether you have one or two or five. You don't want to, what job do you do? What are things that you're interested in, right? What do you have access to? This sort of thing, right? I live in a city of over 100,000 people, populous city of over 100,000, um, with with a lot of outdoor activities um, available. Right, whatever might be available in your town, whatever things you want to share a little bit, so that it's more specific to you, not this general overall idea of what to do. So then next, you want to say, I want you to give me some ideas on um, um, can make how I can make some friends in my local area. Now, stay with me, okay? Because I'm going to give you a couple of different examples. All right, I really want to provide some support, or some information that will help you for your specific situation. Okay, and utilizing ChatGPT is a really unique way to do this, but you want to give it some specific instructions and not just go on to here and um, just say, "Give me some ideas." So I want you to give me some ideas on how I can make some friends in my local area. Um, in my local area. Um, please keep in mind my interests. Oh, and here's another thing. I would also say something about your character, as far as, like, I'm generally shy when I meet people for the first for the first time. Um, First time, but I generally, but I um, open up, uh, you know, fairly quickly, whatever it might be for you, right? Or I have been told I can be the life of the party, right? This is probably going to be not your situation. Who can, just because somebody, that's a good point. Just because somebody's the life of the party or can be the life of the party doesn't mean they have good friendships, right? Solid friendships. People might say, "Oh yeah, maybe he's the one who's always, um, you know, uh, have people over," but maybe those people aren't really close friends. They're just there because to take advantage of, to that he's always buying everything type of deal thing. Just like we often think that musicians and actors and these things, oh yeah, they have tons of friends, and it's just like they on the back of their mind are often probably saying to themselves, "Are you really my friend because you like being my friend, or we have things in common, or are you just my friend because I'm famous and I have a lot of money and I throw the best parties or whatever?" Right? They have this insecurity. Believe me, life of the party, but I still do not have any close or any friends that I would say are close friends, right? Something like that. So then I want you to give me some ideas on how I can make some friends in my local area. Please keep my please keep in mind my interests and my schedule. And let's just say, right? Let's just say this is just an example. Let's just say you shared your schedule, right? I'm usually available on weekends, so forth and so on, right? Because if you think about it, it is true. A man in his 40s is generally going to be raising some kids, married, he's got his career, more responsibility, right? So, but still in life, we want to maintain friendships throughout our life. As men, we should be making that more of a priority. And especially in reconciling friendships that we might have had some sort of disagreement. So let's see what this says here. Mind you, this is just a general example, but I want to point out some things here. Okay. So what you can do is let's go ahead and see what this says. Now, mind you, I am using the free or I'm using a paid version, but you should have access to this option right up here. Okay. So once again, building and maintaining friendships can be deeply rewarding and fulfilling. Here are some actionable steps tailored to your lifestyle, interest, and schedule. Now, here's the thing it's only going to say that if you put in here, I want you to give me some ideas on how I can make some friends in my local area. Please keep in mind my interest and my schedule. Now, you have to give your information. You have to give some information in order to do that, right? So let's look at what it says. Leverage your children's soccer activities. Okay. Socialize with other parents. Often this is the case, right? You meet other parents at the soccer games, have some small talk right there. Volunteer, plan group activities, right? Explore martial arts. That's interesting. Lots of guys today are getting into Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. I think it's one of those things where it's absolutely incredible. I'm a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. I've been training since 2000, or I'd been training off and on. And if you've trained jujitsu long enough, it has never, most likely, it has never been a consistent, always, always, always. If you have been, it's awesome. More than likely or not, you have had injuries, you've had family issues, you've had, things come up, parents getting sick or something, and you've had to take months or a year off, like I have. It's been over a year that I've trained, so forth and so on. But it's interesting that this is saying Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, Muay Thai, right? Attend classes. I have friends that I have made straight from, of course, Jiu Jitsu. I have traveled around the world. I always go to a Jiu Jitsu class. Before you know it, you're getting invited to go out to places, and it's great. Look at running communities, outdoor activities, right? um, you know, practice discussing interests, follow up plans, right? If shyness or social anxiety significantly impacts your ability to connect, a coach or a counselor can help you develop the social skills and strategies to enhance your confidence with consistent effort, right? Because that's where it's often at, right? This lack of confidence to be able to start friendships, build friendships, maintain friendships, and go from there, right? So another thing that I would like to share with you here, and hey, if you're getting some good stuff out of this, please subscribe to this channel, like this video, and comment. It'd be great to hear from you. So what I'd like, and this is where I see men often struggle the most, is, let me go ahead and start another one, is reconciling friendships. This is one of the things that has divided us, and we kick people to the curb that were friends at one time. And just because, we can have friendships to say, hey, oftentimes in the past, it was very common to never talk about religion or any political stuff. Like those were the topics you just never talked about. You never talked about those things. And but if you're religious and you go to church, of course, you talk about your practices. And political is just, you kind of got in conversations with people who more than likely already had those similar views, but it's been so divided. So what I want to share with you here is that how to reconcile with a friend. And you could say here, I want you to act as, or first off, let's look at this, right? You could say, if someone was struggling, um, if someone was, if someone, let's see, if someone, I'm trying to think here, if someone is not aware of how to reconcile with a friend, who would be the best person to talk to learn how to do this, right? So you can, when in a general sense, you could pop on to ChatGPT and ask a certain question like this. And I'm going to take it a little bit further, but here you could go on to ChatGPT and say, hey, if someone is not aware of how to reconcile with a friend, who would be the best person to talk? Yep, that is to talk to learn how to do this. So let's just see what it says. Okay. Reconciling with a friend. If someone is unsure, right? Okay, so look at this. They can seek guidance from the following professionals: a therapist, right? Look at this, a life coach like myself, a mediator, a trusted friend, a religious or spiritual advisor, a mentor or role model. Okay, so let's say, for example, you don't know who would be the right person to ask about this. Now, the reason why I asked this question here is because if you remember in my previous instruction or my other videos, now you can give ChatGPT a persona where it's like you can now say, I want you to act as and put in one of those that you think would be best for you, that you would want that information. I want you to act as a therapist or counselor. I want you to act as a life coach. I want you to act as a mediator. I want you to act as a trusted mutual friend. I want you to act as a spiritual or religious advisor. I want you to act as a mentor, right? So that's why I put in this general question to say, who would be the person that I would ask for this help? I don't know. I want to reconcile with my friend. Now, get this. Now, of course, this is ChatGPT, but I'm going to say this is some pretty good stuff. Now, do you notice that it says nothing about a significant other? It says nothing about um, a friend, right? It does say right here a trusted, like a neutral mutual friend, right? I had another thought. Okay. But I came up with this just so that if you were stuck, I'm like, who would help me in this situation? You can use this for anything. Okay. This example, man, who would I ask that type of question to? You could come on here and say, if someone was not aware of how to X, who would be the best person to talk to about this? And see what it says. And then you come over here and say, I want you to act as a, um, let's see, I'm just trying to think. Let's just say counselor. Whoever it is that you want to, or you think. Now, let's just say therapist. I want you to act as a therapist. You can also say, I want you to act as a, so here it says spiritual, right? What does that mean to you? Whatever your religious or spiritual beliefs are, put that down. I want you to act as a therapist or as a Buddhist spiritual advisor, or I want you to act as a, you know, whatever that religion is. I just said Buddhism. It could be anything, Christianity. It could be whatever it is that you want for your specific situation. So I'm just going to say, I want you to act as a therapist. I want you to act as a therapist who has helped men in reconciling friendships, reconciling friendships, who has helped men in reconciling friendships. Okay. And then what I would encourage you to do is share what's the situation. I've worked with men where I know about the situation. Here's what my friend did and what he said. Here's what my other friend said and did. Right? There's some context to it. If I were to just click enter right here, it would just give me some general information on how anybody, like, right, can reconcile their friendships. But you want to give some context. You want to share what's happening here. So you could say my or you could say my. It's really up to you. But in this situation, you probably might want to say okay, or the clients. Yeah, the two um, people have been friends for over 10 years. They have gone through some hard times together. They were they they supported one friend supported um, the other when one went through a divorce. Um, one of the friends lost his job of over 5 years, whatever it might be, um, um, right? Whatever you guys have gone through, whatever the friendship has gone through. Lately, we recently we were we we got into an argument about uh, it could be anything, right? Whatever. Okay, argument about um, I don't even want to say that. I don't even want to use political argument about uh, being more present for his children. I, you know, children. This is just an example, right? Being more present for his children. The friend, the concerned friend, the concerned friend had noticed that um, his teenage child has been asking to spend more time with him, um, and the friend mentioned that he should spend more time with his child and not at um, and not at um, and not watching. Let's just say watching TV, whatever it might be, whatever. Share what your situation is. This is completely just an example that I'm thinking of right off the top, but something in your situation. So, what are you doing here? You have you had a question saying, "Hey, who I want to reconcile with my friend. How can I do this? But I don't know who I would talk to." You put in a general question. Here it's saying these are some people who you can work with. Now, from there, you'd say, "Okay, I want you to act as a therapist who has helped men in uh, men reconcile friendships." Perfect, better way of writing that. Help men reconcile friendships. Okay. And then you share what's the situation because you want the response to be more towards your specific situation. And this is just one that I had come up with. So from here, um, and not watch TV. Yep. So from here, whatever information, okay, you can also say then, I really want to, I appreciate my friend. I appreciate my friend. We have they we have you can I went from third person to first person, but they both the concerned friend really appreciates the friendship and um, and wants to work this out. Just something about you know someone could say, hey, I really hope we could connect, but it's whatever. But this is really saying, hey, the concerned friend really appreciates the friendship and wants to work this out. Just something there, right? So let's go and press enter for this example, right? Reconciling a friendship after an argument requires understanding, empathy, and open communication, right? Understanding, hearing somebody else out, seeing what they have, listening to what they have to say. Now, here we go. Reflect before reaching out, right? Understand the comment about spending more time with the child came from a place of care, right? Oftentimes, what happens is the other person is coming to the other person because they care about their friendship, and reflect on how the delivery, consider how the other friend might feel, perhaps criticized, defensive, or misunderstood. Clarify your goal. Really understand what is the goal, right? And this is just an example. So look at here. It gives an example, initiating contact, right? Reaching out gently. Send a text or call, keeping the tone neutral and inviting. For example, hey, I've been thinking about our conversation. I realized it might have come across the wrong way. Your friendship means a lot to me, and I'd love to talk to you when you're ready. That's a great, great text right here. Uh, you could go, hey, man, I realize what I said about spending time with your child might have sounded critical, but man, my intentions. I care about you, and I'm sorry that it upset you, right? I value your thoughts and want to understand how you felt during the conversation. I mean, this is great stuff, right? And this is how you can use um, this is how you can use ChatGPT for your specific situation. You know, once again, you shared some information. You said, "Hey, I want you to act like a therapist." And in fact, let's do this. Let's do another example, right? I want you to act. Look at this. Let's go copy and let's go this. You could say this time, I want you to act. This time, I want you to act as a spirit, as a spiritual advisor. And let's just see what it says. Act as a spiritual advisor. Act as a spiritual advisor. Um, I just want you to see the difference, and I want to see the difference too. But this is just out of pure, cure, pure curiosity. I was putting pure and cure curiosity together. Act as a spiritual advisor. Um, uh, I want you to act as a spiritual advisor. Um, let's see. This time, I want you to act as a spiritual advisor. Well, let's just say spiritual advisor. Right here, it says, pastor. Okay. So you could put that. Okay, pastor. Okay. I want you to act as a spiritual advisor. Um, act as a spiritual advisor. I want to put in, like, let's see. I want you to act as a I'm trying to think of like spirituality. I keep thinking of Buddhism and Christianity to be honest, but I kind of want to. What's another kind of? Um, oh, look at this! I just answered my question, and I used it before. What? I want you to give me. I want you to give me a list of different spiritual advisors. See, look at that. I right. I want you to give me a list of different spiritual advisors that could help in this situation, right? So I answered my own question. It's like before it was like, well, who can help me in this? And then it's, hey, let's just as a curiosity sake, right? Let's just see what it says. Because I was trying to think on my own, who what are the different types, right? So Christianity, right, focuses on that sort of thing. Priest, a rabbi, a mom, Buddhist, a monk, right? Buddhist monk, a spiritual life coach, mediation, a shaman, an energy healer, interfaith chaplain, okay, stoic mentor, mindfulness coach, ethics professor or counselor, elder. Look at all these. All right, awesome. Look at this, stoic mentor. Okay, let's look at that. So copy. So let's say this time, I want you to act as a stoic mentor. Uh, this time, I want you to act as a stoic mentor. Let's see right here. Let's see. Who has helped men reconcile friendships? Or who can help? Who can help? What did I put here? Who can help men reconcile friendships? Okay. Who can help? This time, I want you to act as a stoic mentor who can help men reconcile friendships. All right, let's see what we got. And what ChatGPT does now is it takes in consideration what you already have shared. Before, it'd be like each one would have its own, each chat, as in this here, would have its own. You'd have to keep almost repeating it. It would you can continue, but it would eventually lose the information you have entered in from the past or before. So let's just see what this says here. This time I want you to act as a stoic mentor. Let's see the difference, right? So right here, as a stoic mentor, I would guide the concerned friend to approach reconciliation with clarity, emotional balance, and focus, right? On what is within their control. Do you see how the difference is already? This is talking about clarity, emotional balance, and focus. Where here, right? What did it say? Reconciling meaningful friendships after an argument requires understanding, empathy, and open communication, which are both fine, which are both great, because in all reality, you do have to have understanding, empathy, and open communication. And these were great suggestions. This was awesome. This is totally something that I would encourage somebody to text. Hey, man, I've been thinking about our conversation, and I realized they might have come across the wrong way. Bro, your friendship means a lot to me, and I'd love to talk when you're ready. Right? You can add in the, hey, man, bro. So let's see what it says, right? Here, reflect. Stoicism is about reflection, right? Reflect on what brought up the topic of spending more time with the child. Likely was out of genuine care, not criticism. So before acting, consider whether your actions align with virtue and your best intentions, right? Avoid assuming how your friend feels. Recognize that their reaction may stem from their perspective, shaped, here's the thing, shaped by their own struggles and what? Insecurities. So, right, focus on what is within your control. Do you see how the difference is, how there's a different response from who that you wanted to act, how you wanted ChatGPT to act like, their persona? Look at the difference. You cannot control how your friend responds, fact, but you can control how you communicate and approach them. We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. Take responsibility. Love it. Acknowledge your role in the misunderstanding, but release yourself from the burden of how it was received, right? You went with great intentions, but it wasn't received that way. So right here, look at this. Initiate the conversation despite discomfort. Despite discomfort, reconciliation, right? It's difficult when you try to reconcile a friendship. It takes courage to admit mishaps and prioritize the relationship. Treat your friend fairly by acknowledging their feelings, right? Acknowledging their feelings. What's wrong with that? Stoicism, right? And the value they bring to your life. The value they bring to your life. Friendships are valuable. To live a good life, we have the potential for it. If we learn to be indifferent to what makes no difference. Powerful stuff. Right here, look at this. It says, honest communication. I realize my words about spending time with your child may have come across in a way I didn't intend. My goal was to express how much I admire you as a parent, not to criticize you. I'm sorry, right? Look at that. Your friendship has been one of the most important parts of my life for over 10 years. I value all we've been through together and hope we can work through this. Right? Look at this. Detach from the outcome. Whether your friend immediately reconciles or takes time to process, remember that your response is outside your control. Look at this. Accept the things to which fate binds you and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart. If your friend needs space or doesn't respond positively right away, remain calm and focus on being the friend you want to be. You see the difference between both responses, but it only comes from you giving it instructions on how you want it to act based off of really what your viewpoints are, right? But be open to that too, where there's kind of something, you want to be careful with that as well. But I think you probably know what I'm talking about here. Continue showing up for your friend as you have for them in the past. Just doing something you enjoy, watching a game, hiking, catching over coffee. Look what this says. Difficulties strengthen the mind. as labor does the body. Seneca. Look, difficulties, man. We often shy away from difficulties. Strive to be a friend who embodies patience, understanding, and love. Through the Stoic framework, you approach the reconciliation process with wisdom, empathy, and humility. Ensuring that even the path is challenging, you act in accordance with your highest values. Now, look at this. Look at this empathy. And if you remember, the other one also said with empathy, being a good friend, it's important to empathize and express empathy. And it really is unfortunate how we as men have lost this connection with each other. We are isolating ourselves more so than ever before. And it's so unfortunate. I hope that you have gained some understanding of how important your friendships are in your life. They are so important that it's just as important as you eating nutritiously on a daily basis. I've been helping men for over 7.5 years, and I know what it's like to not only go through this myself, but knowing the importance of starting, building, maintaining, and reconciling friendships when that occurs. This is a tool. ChatGPT is a tool. It's an amazing tool, but it doesn't give you that personal one-on-one support as you've seen in both instances where it talks about a life coach. If you feel and would like a chat and talking to me and how, perhaps there's other things going on in your life that I may be able to be a support for you, you can reach me at strongmencoaching.com. Enjoy the rest of your day. And as always, stay strong.